I must now go to step number 4. And what does step number 4 tell me? Step number 4 says, well, you know 10, you might as well know 200. Let me go here to the side and see where are we now. We say we know 10 cubic centimeters. So how much is 200 cubic centimeters? Well, how do you do that? You know ratio and proportion. You know how to use proportionality from maths, from grade 9, from grade 8, from primary school. It is so easy. Let's have a look and see how it's done. Okay, so what do? I say, well, I know this part now. I know exactly how much I have on this part. I have 10 is so much. So how much is 200 cubic centimeters? Nothing. If I have 10 is so much, how much is that? That's right. 10 is 0,075. Then what is 200? Nothing. I just take the 200, divide by 10. In other words, I see how many tens are in 200, and that's about 20 tens. That means I must multiply this by about 20, and this is how I do it. I multiply it by 20, and what do I get? 20 times that number over there will give me 0,1508 moles of sodium hydroxide. Now, question is, am I clever or am I clever? Are you a clever chemistry student? Have you just seen what I've done? I've said, well, I've got 10. Let me just write it for you down on my board quickly. Down here, my chemicals are in the way, but that's no problem. I said, if I had 10 centimeter cube, if I have 10 centimeter cube, and that was equal to 0,00754 moles, you get the idea? Then surely, if I have 200, I'm going to make it bigger. What is 200 cubic centimeters? That's it. What's the ratio between this? It's 10 to 200. And what is 10 to 200? That is 20 times that 0,00754. And then I get my answer as 0,1508. Now, that is an easy kind of calculation that we have to do. That is nothing new. That is so old school for you that you know exactly how to do it. Right, now we come to steps 5 and 6, the last two. I now have my moles. I have my moles of, so I have now my moles of sodium hydroxide. Let's quickly recap how I did it. I didn't know how many moles were in here. They just told me, they gave me 8 grams, and I just put it in 200 cubic centimeters. Then I said, wait, I'm a clever dude. I'm going to take this one here, the nitric acid, find its mole, and then add it to it, and let the two react on a 1-to-1 basis. And once I've got these moles, because this is standardized, I know it, then I find out how many moles I have for a tidbit in here, and then I simply multiply it by 20, and there I have my answer. It couldn't have been easier than that in life. Let's go to step 5 and 6, and then I'm going to try and see whether you really understand what is going on here. Step number 5 now. Now that I have the moles of, that's right. Do I have the moles? Yes, I do have the moles. I have the moles of sodium hydroxide. I can now calculate the mass of the number of moles which I have. But what is my moles of sodium hydroxide now again? There we go. It's 0,1508 moles of sodium hydroxide. So what do I do now? I now use a formula. That's right. By the way, how did I get this number of moles? Very clever. I, of course, use the nitric acid to find that. Now, what am I going to do now? Now I'm going to take that formula from there to there. I'm going to use that formula now. And once I use that formula from that to one, there's no problem. I simply have the number of moles. There's the moles. I want the mass. Now I must just find the formula mass or the molar mass of sodium hydroxide. And therefore, how do I do that? I simply take that one and I write that formula in a different form. That's right. And then what do I do then? I find the molar mass of that one. Sodium is 23, oxygen 16, and hydrogen 1. If I add it up together, I think it's about, 30, 40. That's right, it will be about 40. So I know that one is there, and I know that one is 40. So I go and I say that is the moles, and that is the 40, and there I have my grams of pure sodium hydroxide. Not a problem. Hey, but now my sum is almost done because I was after the amount or the mass of the pure sodium hydroxide, and I just discovered I actually have it in here. I have 6,03 grams. But hold it. Initially, how many grams did I put in here? 8 grams. But because of a chemical reaction, I found out that I have pure sodium hydroxide, only 6,03 grams. Oh, now my life is made so easy because now I'm going to solve the problem that I started with. Step number 6, let's go and see. Step number 6 now. Now I find the percentage purity of sodium hydroxide. And now you're going to say, this is so easy. I don't even have to waste my time with that. What must I do next? I simply write down my formula that I have. I simply write down my formula and I see, okay, I've got 6,03 there now. What else must I do now? I simply divide that by my 8 grams, which I have had originally. And once I've got the 8 grams down there, what's next? I simply multiply that by 100/1, and then I get my percentage purity. That couldn't have been easier. That was my plan all along. And so I write down percentage purity, and then I put in my values as I have it. Let's see which values I put in there again, and then we are going to calculate it. I put 6,03. That is what I calculated. How did I get that again, that 6,03? I've got it from using nitric acid, originally moles, and from moles to mass. And then I multiply and I simplify, and I get 75,38. Let me just check, did I answer my question? Yes, I answered my question. They wanted to know what was the percentage purity of the sodium hydroxide, or as they called it, the caustic soda. Now, everybody, I am quite sure now that those 6 steps are not so difficult. You think you remember those 6 steps? Must I see whether you know those 6 steps? Must I test you? Okay, let's quickly just look at my screen and let me summarize this for you. What did I do? I said to myself, let me start from the last sentence to calculate the percentage purity. What does that mean? I don't have purity. How do I do it? I figured out a way, and then I worked my way back to the first sentence, which told me that I had 10 cubic centimeters and 8 grams, and then I used that 8 grams in my calculation. And then there was an obstacle in my way. They call it caustic soda, but I know that it's called sodium hydroxide. Lastly, don't forget to approximate your final answer to 2 correct decimal places, and never ever approximate along the way. And then lastly, let me just double check those 6 steps again. There are those 6 steps again. Understand the problem. Use a method, right? Make a fraction with a numerator and a denominator and multiply that. That is my plan. Now what tools do I use? Use V and C to get moles. Go for the mole ratio in your balanced equation. Find the proportion, in other words, small to big. And then once you got your moles, find the mass using this skillful equation, and then calculate your percentage. How do I do it? By using that. Okay, now I'm sure that everybody is very happy and say, we all know how to do it. Are you sure you know how to do it? Let's try another question then.